야,
So then, wherever you may be, to all of our Dharma friends, I would like to wish you a happy Sagadawa. Sagadawa tashi dele. So then on Sagadawa, what should we do? Well, we understand that as usual, we should accumulate the causes of happiness. And the causes of happiness are the accumulation of virtuous karma and the development of our positive mental qualities. There are no other causes of happiness apart from this. So this time of Sagadawa, the Sagadawa festival, is especially precious because due to the difference of time, this special time, it is said that one can accumulate the merits of many hundreds of years or even aeons in just one day. One can accumulate great merits in just 1 hour. And this is known as the month of 100,000 because merits are said to be multiplied 100,000 times. And then similarly, in terms of the accumulation of merits during different kalpas, so during different eons of time, it is said that the merits that one can accumulate in this time are 100 times more powerful than the merits accumulated in previous eons or kalpas. So 1 day can be more powerful than 100 years. So these are matters that are subtle and profound, not so easy to understand, so they take some thought, and we can come to those later. So there is no better time than this time of Sagadawa. Why is this the case? Because it is this month of Sagadawa that commemorates some of the most important deeds of the Buddha. So in some traditions, they say that Sagadawa commemorates 5, but all traditions agree that there were at least 3 important deeds during this time. In particular, the Buddha was born, the Buddha achieved enlightenment, full Buddhahood, and the Buddha passed away into paranirvana. So this month, for these reasons, is particularly precious, especially the 15th day. So the reasons why this time is more powerful are kind of difficult and profound, difficult for us to fathom clearly, but we can understand based on a scripture that it is the blessing of the time that makes this a powerful period for virtue. Yeah, drogotomero. So then there is an analogy which is given to help us understand the preciousness of time during these holy festivals. And it is the example of somebody who is trying to eat some food. So if that person has already eaten and is already full, it's difficult for them to really enjoy and take the benefit of that food. However, if the time is right and the person's stomach is empty, then it can accommodate much of that delicious food which can be enjoyed and benefited from. So that is the time that Sakadawa is, a time where we can benefit and enjoy from these accumulations of merits. So there are particular periods of blessing or times of blessing, and there are also places of blessing. And if during times of blessings or in places of blessings we study, we meditate, we practice the teachings, it is said that the merits that one accumulates, the progress that one achieves is more powerful. It is easier to accomplish realizations. So this is true of holy times like Sagadawa and also holy places blessed by great masters such as Bodh Gaya of the Buddha. So the blessings is commonly translated as blessings, but the Tibetan word Jinji Lapa really means waves of inspiration. So these blessings or waves of inspiration of the Buddha are something that are really powerful. For example, if you think about the scripture of the Heart Sutra, this Heart Sutra arose due to the blessings of the Buddha's mind inspiring Shariputra and Modgalyayana Putra to ask questions to Chenrezi or Avalokiteshvara. They would not have asked these questions by themselves. It arose through the blessing of the Buddha. It is said that the blessings or waves of inspiration of the Buddha can manifest even in mysterious ways. For example, making the sounds of wind through trees, and through the blessings of the Buddha, the sounds of those trees, they proclaim things like the Four Noble Truths, the realities of impermanence, and so forth. So slowly, as we study, we come to understand these things, but there are many extraordinary, sometimes strange and unfathomable things that arise through these blessings. And it is said very clearly in the scriptures that just before he passed away, the Buddha said that if you go on pilgrimage and do religious practices in these holy places that I have visited and performed important activities, for example, Bodh Gaya, then the virtuous karmas that you accumulate there will definitely help you to achieve a higher rebirth in the realms of humans or devas. So why is this blessing there in these holy places that the Buddha visited? This blessing is there because when the Buddha was working towards his enlightenment, he was practicing purification with the mind to benefit all sentient beings. He was accumulating merits with the mind to benefit all beings. So for this reason, through the power of those accumulations, the places where he accomplished his activities are blessed. So then, understanding the preciousness of this time, then what can one do? What can we do to maximize this holy period? Well, for those who have the wish or the inclination, they can engage in the practices of taking special vows. So, for example, it is very common in the Theravada traditions that the lay people will take the vows of a one-day vow holder. But in the Mahayana tradition, if one is practicing the Bodhisattva vehicle, then one takes a set of vows known as the Mahayana Poshada or the Tekshen Sojong. So this is very beneficial to do. So then it is said that for those who are practicing the vows of the Upasaka or Upasika, so those are the female and male lay vow holders of Buddhism, so they will take the one-day vows of the Praktimoksha set or individual liberation in order to purify any ethical transgressions of those vows, but also to strengthen and to elevate those vows already taken. The Bodhisattva practitioner who practices the Tekshen Sojong or the Mahayana Poshada, on the other hand, through this practice, they are able to, for example, strengthen minds of love, compassion, and bodhicitta. And in addition to that, then any transgressions of their Bodhisattva precepts, as well as their Pratimoksha precepts, these can be purified and vows can be strengthened. So then, in terms of the objects of abandonment, in other words, in terms of the things that the practitioner promises not to do, the Mahayana Poshada, the Tekshen Sojong, and the one vows of the vehicle of individual liberation or the Theravada are the same. So the things to be abandoned are the same. But in terms of the motivation, aim, and attainment that comes from these two practices, they are different for each. So then with the Tekshen Sojong or the Mahayana Poshada, then as usual when we discuss about the Mahayana motivation, this involves bringing forth love, compassion, bodhicitta, that one wishes to achieve the state of supreme Buddhahood in order to be able to benefit all sentient beings, and it is for this purpose that one is engaging in the practice of the Tekshen Sojong vows. So then when you take the vows, then the objects of abandonment, the things that you must avoid, these are mentioned, but just to clarify, there are 8 things to be abandoned, and these 8 things are the same for the one-day vows of the individual vehicle as well as the one-day vows of the Mahayana Poshada or Tekshen Sojong. And in terms of these 8 vows, there are said to be 4 root vows as well as 4 branch vows. So in terms of the 4 root vows, things one promises to abandon, one must abandon killing, one must abandon taking what is not given, one must abandon any sexual conduct, and one must abandon lying. And then in terms of the 4 branch vows, this involves abandoning firstly alcohol and intoxicants, taking food at improper times, so afternoon, sitting on high seats or beds, and going to entertainments such as music concerts and so forth. So one abandons these 4 branches. So then, in terms of the actual ritual for taking this Tekshen Sojong, all of the vows, the activities one abandons, are mentioned there. And then there are also like various trainings or pieces of advice. And one promises to emulate the activities of the ones gone to bliss, the Sugatas. And so there are some details there, but we won't go into all of them now. Yep. So then in terms of the actual ritual for taking the Mahayana Poshada or the Tekshen Sojong, then if you need to get access to this ritual, we will provide it. Geshe is saying by message or email, but we will also post this on Facebook so that people can access it easily. Yeah. So it is said that in terms of the time that one takes these vows, it must be very early in the morning at first light. So it's often said the time when one can first see the wrinkles in one's hand. So then in terms of taking the Mahayana Poshada or the Tekshen Sojong, it's good to take it during Sagadawa, but not only during Sagadawa. One can also take it whenever one is able at other times. So then there is like this fashion of many people after lunchtime not taking any food, like intermittent fasting and so forth. So if one ningun kala jela kala masaya sorry, so dilapay. So then taking the intermittent fasting, not taking food afternoon. So if one combines this, if one makes it meaningful with the practice of the Tekshen Sojong or vows, then this is very good. So then this is just a short explanation of these 2 topics, and then there is more that can be said, but just in this short amount of time, that's all. Perhaps we can come to a vaster explanation later. And in terms of the so then in terms of the source of these 2 traditions of taking the vows, the one-day vows of the vehicle of individual liberation, these are found in the Vinaya, so in the treatises on discipline. In terms of the Tekshen Sojong or the Mahayana Poshada, this is actually found within the Tantras. In the Amoga Pasha Tantra. So these are not traditions that are without a source. They have a source in the scripture. So appreciating this, then please joyfully engage in these practices. And then another practice, of course, that's very beneficial to engage during these holy times is the practice of Nyungne. So the fasting practice of 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara, which involves mantra and many other things. So then in terms of the practice of mantra, this is something that is very supremely effective because so much of our speech is mundane, not only non-virtuous, but also just mundane, concerned only with worldly topics. So the non-virtues that we accumulate through speech, then the practice of mantra, it restrains us from speaking those non-virtues as well as clearing or purifying the speech. So for this reason, it is very useful. So thank you very much. This was just a short explanation in a short time, and then if you have any questions, please do send them in. Tashidele, thank you.